It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's sourdough. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I'm Tom Papa. We've got an amazing show for you today. We've got the very funny Sam Morrell coming on. You're going to love this conversation. He's a great guy, super funny. He's got a new special coming out on Netflix called Same Time Tomorrow. Is that right? Same Time Tomorrow? Thank you, Aaron. He's a great guy, and I was so happy to spend some time with him. He also gave me some booze, which you'll see. Very exciting. We'll get to all that in a minute. Today's show is sponsored by TomPapa.com. No way. We've got a bunch of shows coming up. I'm doing a run in California from San Luis Obispo up to Monterey, up to Chico, and that's coming up in the end of September. Shooting my Netflix special on October 1st at the Wilbur Theater in Boston. Still a couple tickets left for the late show for that. And all over the place. Bunch of shows coming up in New Jersey, a run in Texas, a lot of shows. So go to tompapa.com and look up all that good stuff. Here we are. This is it, kids. The summer is unofficially over. Well, September is definitely, in my book, the best month of the summer because the crowds are gone and all the nerdy kids are back in school and you get to actually go to the beach without a crowd. And the weather's perfect, and the ocean, whether you're east or west, is just perfect. I think my friend was in Malibu the other day, 72 degrees in the water. Oh, in a pool that's kind of lame, but in the ocean, that's perfection. And while there's still all that stuff, the unofficial end of summer, Labor Day, it's over, kids. It's over. It's time to start packing up some stuff. There are certain things that are just more enjoyable to eat and grill during the summer that, even though the weather's nice, you can do it, but it's not the same. It's not the same putting a bunch of hot dogs on the grill in late September, October as it is in July. It's just not. Street corn, hot dogs, hamburgers. Steaks will go all the way through, but even a great steak on the grill, it doesn't have that summer thing to it. It just doesn't have that special seasonal thing, and that's okay. We did it. We did it well. I had a buttload of hot dogs this year. I don't know what got into me. I did find out a tip. I did find out that if you go with the all-beef hot dogs, say the Hebrew National, the Thumans back east, no nitrates in those. No nitrates. So all those little rumors that every hot dog you eat is going to take 15 minutes off your life, which I'd make that trade. I guess it doesn't happen or doesn't count with the beef ones. So if you want to enjoy hot dogs and keep going, but again, let me not distract you. This isn't hot dog time. If you go to the park, if one of your teams is good enough to make it into the playoffs, you can go hot dog. But the summer version, it's over, kids. It's all over. Time to start thinking about baking some other stuff and getting into the fall. But it's kind of like a little gap. I'm not going to start talking about making big, heavy lasagnas and really getting into it. We've got a beat. So let's just celebrate the end of summer. Let's celebrate the end of summer. And like everyone listening, we don't go to school anymore. We're not nerds. We don't have to go do that. So you can sneak it. You can get a little gin and tonic on the side. I'm saying this all, by the way, talking about the end of summer. Wow. LA is about 112 degrees. So it's a state of mind, kids. It's a state of mind. It's not weather based or according to the calendar by any means. Okay. Sam Morrell. He came after me at the Comedy Cellar, with his crew of Mark Norman and Joe List and all of his guys after I left. Those guys rolled in and became like the new steady crew at the Comedy Cellar. And there was a reason that they stuck out because they all, and Sam in particular, great lovers of comedy. Just loves. There's nothing better when comedians love comedy. I know it sounds kind of weird. Like, why wouldn't you do it? Well, a lot of people, you know people in your jobs, and they do it for one reason, but the love of it maybe isn't the thing. With Sam, comedy is his love, and he dedicates himself to it. He tours like crazy. He's just not going to be stopped. And he put out a special on YouTube. He was one of the first guys, and he's used as an example all the time. We talk about it in this interview. One of those guys who just took it in his own hands, took matters in his own hand, and produced his own special and put it on YouTube. I think it has over 10 million views. It just was a huge success, proving that you put out funny stuff, people will find it, share it, like it, and he just made it happen just out of a pure love, and then nothing's going to stop him. But now he has a special, of course, when attention, the light gets shine on you for a little bit and people start paying attention. Netflix came around, and now he has this special that you can stream, I think starting today on Netflix. Super funny special, super funny guy. We have a great time. You're going to love this conversation. And I give him some bread, and he, a little spoiler alert, couldn't stop eating it. When the interview was over, he literally, I never saw someone devour the bread by the time they got to the door, but Sam did. He's really funny. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Thank you for joining us, Sam Morrell.
Someone was telling me Jeselnik loved that club, and I was like, really?
Oh, yeah? Well, people have in the past said that they really loved it.
Yeah, I've heard it's like beautiful, which it is. It's like a beautiful improv.
Yeah.
It's like a theater, but
It looks nice, but
who gives a fuck?
right,
I was
exactly.
at Buffalo Helium 2 weeks ago. It looks like shit. They were laughing at everything I said.
I know. But you have to kind of like reset the bar. Like, I always find myself like, you're telling your jokes, you're doing your thing, and you're just there to work, and you crank it out, and certain things happen. You're like, oh, right, this is a club, right? There's supposed to be noise, or that person's supposed to be drunk, or the waiter's supposed to bang the check down on the table as I'm closing.
None of that was the problem, even though it almost was like the opposite problem, where like it felt like a theater with like they were annoyed that I take out a notepad every once in a while. I was like, I'm doing like an hour 10 just so I can promise a good show, and I'll fucking do new shit.
Yeah,
But
that is weird.
they did feel like it's like dumb SF. They're like entitled.
Yeah.
Like tech people. There's no middle class. You need a middle class. For
Yeah.
comedy.
I didn't find that area being elite, though.
I think it's like they're either dirt poor, or it's like they have like $1 billion.
Right.
I think it's that's where it's from.
That has become a weird area of the country.
That's what I mean. It's
It
like
really
a
has.
weird mix, I think.
Yeah. It's like such wealth and such isolation with complete like socialist poverty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. It's this weird mix. Like I would.
Are we on recorded right now?
Yeah, we've started.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
I didn't know we go so hard against San Jose out of the gate.
I didn't say the name.
Oh.
I had cleaned. I was.
Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Damn it.
Good crowds.
Great club.
The club is good.
Good.
The club is good.
I have a nephew that lives in Oakland.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much a socialist.
Yeah.
And he's out there like, living on the mean streets and fighting landlords and, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you're surrounded by and then he comes to see me perform in San Francisco, and it's like going, into the golden real estate, it's either homeless or big empty brownstones that Facebook owns.
There's not a bigger divide of any place. It's crazy.
It's
like,
a weird thing.
It's either like a dude on like a hover beam or like Dawn of the Dead. It's like,
yeah, right,
the
exactly.
homeless dudes there are like in your fucking face.
Yeah.
And like, man, they just forgot about the largest. Like, there's so many forgotten people in that city.
I know.
It's so dark.
And when you have like the people that are fighting, like my nephew, and it's like, it's very noble, but I don't know who, like this isn't winnable. Like the wealth that you're trying to fight is so massive. I don't think you stand a chance.
No.
Like you go to some place like Newark or someplace where you can like actually make a difference. Like here, it's like, oof.
I guess
Unless
Newark's gotten
computers
better.
disappear and iPhones become obsolete, that place isn't changing.
Yeah, I mean, tech is already won. We're fucked. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, and no one in any position to fight power has ever worked out well for that in that city. Harvey Milk, I think, horrible ending. Like anyone who ever tried to, fight
Yeah.
to help San Francisco, that city is like, it's funny. Like we're blinded by the Cipino, like we're like they got good seafood, but it's like that's a dark city.
I know. Yeah. Don't you find when you go to these places though, like you go from your hotel to the club and back, and then you'll come away like everything seems fine.
Yeah, I got some clam chowder for lunch. They seem to be doing all right. Well, we really ignore the problems. And our buddy Ryan Hamlin has that great joke where he'll open to the crowd and be like, "You're the first people I talked to today."
Yeah, right.
It's so relatable.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, SF is like, look, it's like a good food city, a good walking city. It's like those are the cities you want to go to as a comic. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pumped to go to SF or Chicago
Sure.
or Boston or whatever. And then you see like St. Louis on the calendar and you're like, oh boy. I don't know what highway I'm going to be staying off of, but I know it's going to be a noisy and sad one.
I know. That's the one thing that the only demand I have. I'm very low maintenance when it comes to touring and stuff, but I have to have a hotel where I can walk to a good coffee spot. Because that solves a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be on an off ramp.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be isolated in a Holiday Inn, like in the middle of nowhere where you can't even get food. Like at least I can walk someplace and see someone with a shitty barista attitude, and it'll make me feel at home.
That shitty attitude does bring you back to like a major elite city, Yeah, and there's something also about those. You're taking a walk. If you see a person crossing an intersection, risking their life for a gas station sandwich, that's a comedian on the road. That's a comic every time. No, I'm with you, man. There's something about that snotty barista where you're like, all right, I'm getting a overpriced coffee. But it's better than like, look, I mean, we've all been in that situation where you're just drinking hotel coffee all day. You don't know where you are, and that's really all it is coffee. Just give me coffee.
Yeah, it's too isolating. If you're not near a coffee spot, you're going to be a little bit ramped up on the loneliness. And a walk. We're walkers. Yeah, right.
It's like I can't really drive anyway, so
You can't.
I mean, I have a license, but I like bullshit my way to getting it.
What do you do when you come out here?
Ubers.
Just Uber everywhere.
I hate doing it.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do, man? It's like I noticed I've gotten less chatty. Maybe it's the pandemic. They used to be really chatty.
Yeah.
They used to be like, you could tell like an aspiring actor or something, and now it's just dudes who are like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't wanna, like,
well, it's because they all went to Postmates during the pandemic.
That's what it is.
So they're just used to driving with food, and now you're there.
This is like this pandemic changed us. This is like
it did.
It's dark, dude.
It did. I don't know if it's ultimately dark, but I do know that there's a longer change than I anticipated. Like it was kind of like in the beginning, I was just kind of analyzing it in the moment. Like, are we, okay, so prices are spiking or whatever. But now that we're like 2.5 years, it's like, now you're really starting to see like the mental, cultural effects of it.
Oh yeah, and you go to any downtown of any city, it's like a video game where you're like a dude's coming at you with a knife, and you're like, do I go right or left? It doesn't feel like real life. You're like, I'm in my own video game.
Yeah, I know. I was just driving here. I had these two guys car fighting behind me. And I'm just like, I don't want to get involved. But the one was like slamming on his brakes, and the other guy's honking behind him, trying to pass, and this guy wouldn't let him pass. And I'm like, if that guy busts free from this guy, I'm next. Like, I'm going to be the next one. But that's happening all the time.
If it keeps shifting over.
Yeah. I heard a really fucked up story. A friend of my wife's, she's a teacher, and like someone at the school said that their kid, I think it was their kid or their husband was driving on the freeway out here, and someone threw a brick from the overpass, and it smashed their windshield.
Oh my God.
Didn't come through, thank God, but smashed the whole thing.
That's like an ad for the new Tesla or something right there. It's like, it doesn't go through.
And the cop was like, yeah, there was two others
Bricks.
At that same time, they just
Kids have gotten used to egg cars. Now they're throwing bricks. What the hell happened?
Right. What about some toilet paper?
This is like a brick is
A brick.
You could kill someone.
You literally could kill someone. How? Yeah. This idiot.
I think about that all the time, like the loose AC unit just like falling out in New York and dumping on my
I
head.
know.
Because I remember having one of those and like I didn't know how to put it in. I like jammed cardboard in there and I'm like, I'm gonna kill someone.
just using the window to keep it closed.
That's really what you do. And your friends like you're like, don't open that window. I'm on the 5th floor. This could kill someone.
I know. Why doesn't that happen every day in New York?
It's crazy. It's also like I have friends who are like, oh, my building's annoying about installing ACs. I'm like, so someone doesn't die? That's why they're being annoying.
They're following the rules.
I felt like I'm such a dumb fuck. I remember putting it in, being like, this will be all right. You're young. You don't know any better.
No, you definitely didn't buy the air conditioner, so you got it on loan from someone, and you just like
stuffed it in.
Yeah, you're not going to buy cables or like gonna hire someone to help. You have no money.
Yeah, it's stuck.
Remember how poor you are when you first start comedy in New York?
I always had a safety net because my parents are in the city, so I was never like that. I was always like, I always could get a free meal. I was always, but yeah, it's like, it's stupid. I mean, I remember eating like on the roads, like, my road life is so different than it is now. You know, it's like now I'm like going to good restaurants. I used to just like I'll just chill in the Holiday Inn and eat the apples. You know, like I didn't do shit.
Or save like whatever meal you got, like save it even though you don't have a refrigerator.
I mean, dude, I remember like do you want to take an extra meal from the club? And I was like, yes. Now I'm like, ew. You think I want to eat more? You think I want to refrigerate matchsticks? But like back then, it's like you take every free meal you get, and I was excited for it. And I had a metabolism where I could I could keep eating this shit.
Oh, you could eat it at midnight and then fall asleep and be fine.
Yeah.
I remember. Did you ever work with Gilbert Gottfried?
No, I mean, I a little bit, but never like opening for him or anything.
Yeah.
But I'd met him a bunch.
He was legendary for taking the food and stuff. He was very cheap, and I worked with him at Caroline's once, and he said something like, "I'll have 4 meals. I'll have 4 of these," and I thought he was doing a bit for me, and they came with 4 meals and a thing of tinfoil.
What do you get?
And he wrapped up all of the meals and put them in a bag. He's like, it's here for us. I was like, is it?
You know what? Actually, Caroline, I ate so much free food at Caroline's, and I got drunk for free. I mean, you're making like $20 on a prom show at 3 a.m. You better believe I'm eating like 2 chicken parms. I used to eat so much free food there.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, I had so many good times at that club.
Oh my God,
and
I know.
so many bad times.
It felt like real show business. Like you went down the stairs and you had a real dressing room, and go through the kitchen. Like compared to the other clubs, it was like, ooh, I'm on Broadway. This is exciting.
It was incredible. I mean, I loved it. I loved.
Have you been back recently?
No, it's been forever.
Me too. Why is that? What happens?
I think they just kind of start booking younger guys. It's like, it's good for the scene. It's like you flush guys like us out, and then the newer comics kind of work there. Because the newer comics, a lot of them aren't working the Cellar. A lot of them aren't working the other clubs, so they get in at Caroline's, and they develop.
So if you headline in New York, you go to Gotham?
I would do Gotham. Well, Gotham would just paid me so much more money.
I think that's the biggest thing.
It's just like way more money.
Yeah.
And also it's like Times Square is tough. It's tough to get my audience to be like, hey, we're going to 49th and Broadway. They're like, what? Chelsea's such a hipper destination. Yeah, 49th and Broadway. I'm like, yeah, we're all going to Bubba Gump Shrimp before. We're pre-gaming at Bubba Gump's, and I'm after party at ESPN Zone. That's.
I remember when they had the restaurant. I don't know if you remember. They had a restaurant on top of it.
Yeah.
That they opened up, and it was like kind of like comedic, like big cups, and it was like this bad restaurant. It was mainly Italian food, but it was bad Italian food. And my grandmother came in from New Jersey. They like brought her in, and she's like this amazing cook and the whole thing. And I remember her just sitting. I came over to see them. It's my first time, like. And she's at the table like pissed. I never saw my grandmother like pissed. She's like, $25 for this spaghetti and it's awful. we should go home right now. I can make this meal for you right now. And she was so offended by the meal and the comedy thing. It was like people dressed like Charlie Chaplin and, you know, all this. It was terrible.
That's amazing. Yeah, no one's more offended than a grandma. Todd Barry used to have that great joke about how they're like, $14 for pasta. Why would I do that when, you know, I can get it from my grandma? He goes, because for that extra $14, you get a big heaping side order of not having to talk to your grandma. Such a great bit.
It's a good bit.
Dude,
I have dough on my arms. I apologize.
for making this.
For making your
Dude,
bread
this
morning.
is incredible. I
Yeah.
can't believe you do this.
I made this for you.
Can I
don't
take
know.
a bite?
If you want, you could bite.
Really?
it.
Do
Yeah.
people not usually eat it on the bread?
One person, someone ate it before.
How do I just rip it off?
You would just rip it off, I guess.
Dude, this is like crispy. This is incredible.
Yeah, that just came out. That was this morning, in between the radio show.
Dude.
Right?
Was it like a sourdough?
Yeah, it's called a field blend. It's got rye and whole wheat and all-purpose.
This is what people listen to pods like chewing.
Oh, they love it.
That's incredible. I got something for
They
you.
love
actually.
the real crunchy
I got something
part.
for you too.
What you got?
Bodega Cat. Me and Norman's whiskey.
What? What do you mean you and Norman's whiskey?
We made our own whiskey.
Get
it's
out.
2 years in the making.
What?
It's you can get it at bodegacatwhiskey.com. You can pre-order it.
That's amazing.
It's such good whiskey. You're gonna love it. It's really good.
Bodega Cat.
It's good whiskey, dude.
That is really
You're gonna love it.
amazing. Look at you.
Took us forever, but we cracked it.
Wow. What was the inspiration?
All
just
these
loved-
people have their own. I mean, I look at Clooney. He made all that money on Casamigos, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's cool to have your own liquor. And
Ron White.
Ron White, you know,
He's got what's his
tequila.
yeah. He sent me a bottle in Vegas. Dose something or
I don't know. Everyone's got their own liquor.
Aaron, what's Ron White's tequila? All right, he'll look it up.
You know, but we
It's a good
we saw
name.
these people doing this, and then we were kind of like, why don't we? Norman and I were like, why don't we have our own whiskey? Because we drink whiskey all the time, and
Yeah.
we said on our podcast, and we got so many emails from distilleries like, we'll do it.
For
and we went with
real?
this guy Christopher Hart in Houston because he seemed legit, and he's done a great job. I mean,
I like the label.
I love it, dude.
Where'd you
Bodega
come up with
Cat.
the name, Bodega Cat?
It was originally Fat Cat because we like the double meaning, like, you know, you're a fat cat, like a, you know, guy about town kind of, but old timey kind of. But then also, like, who doesn't like a fat cat? It's a funny image.
Yeah.
But then there's some wine had fat cat, and we're like, all right, we can't, like, you can't. I guess beer we're okay, but wine is in the liquor biz, so we couldn't.
okay.
So they were like, you have to give us a percentage, and we're like, eat shit, fat cat, fuck you. So we did Bodega Cat because we were like, we were just thinking of stuff that you're happy to see. You're in a bodega, a cat pops out, you're instantly like, oh hell yeah,
It's the best, yeah.
There's
And I love
something
the
about-
picture. He's kind of like hanging on the counter.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with that because they have weird laws where it's like. It can't be too cartoony or kids are going to like it. The Elf
you
cigarettes
can't go like,
problem.
yeah, the Camel Joe.
Yeah.
Right. Joe Camel.
Yeah. You got to be.
You can't be too adorable.
But also, like, which I was like, made me just want to have the cutest little cat ever.
This is amazing. Now, you don't put anything on the label that says it's you.
No. It's because it's not about us. You know, it's like, it's.
Right.
I love it, but it's like, I don't want to. I'm not doing this to showcase us. I'm doing this because I think it's like a really good whiskey and it's just fun to have.
That's amazing. So when people started approaching you, did you like taste different whiskeys?
Yeah, we tried a bunch. I mean, we got pretty fucked up on that episode.
You know what's funny? This is a bit of a side note, just because I think about it often. When I left, like you were the class kind of after me,
I mean, probably a while after.
or
You
like
even do-
maybe two classes.
Yeah, maybe.
Who would be in between then?
Probably like a Joe DeRosa or something.
Yeah, okay, but he's by himself. And I would always, and I've said shades of this to you, but I would always see you post on Instagram and stuff. And when I came in, you guys were all so funny, and I was like, oh, there was a little jealousy of like, oh, they're like in that prime new cellar spot of just, and you guys were drinking a lot.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like your posts and stuff. You guys were always like shit faced and doing spots, and it was always like really kind of exciting and inspiring at the same time. It's just great to see good comics getting drunk in the same place that I was, 10 years before.
It lives on.
Yeah, and then I got a sense that it kind of all calmed down. But now that I've just been in your orbit over the last year, I'm realizing that really didn't calm down at all.
Well, it has calmed down. Like we still drink. We don't go as hard as we used to. You can't. You can't be on the road every week and going that hard and trying to come up with new shit. So I want to enjoy alcohol. I never want to have to quit entirely.
Right.
So,
that's a good point.
It's the same way. Like you don't eat fried food every meal because you want to be able to eat fried food and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I love getting a little buzz on.
Yeah, no, it's great.
But I also
and then the act is the big thing when you're on the road.
For sure.
You're like, it all becomes about the act.
It's easier when you're building.
What you're doing the night before is literally going to affect the next show the next day.
100%. When I'm writing a new act, I feel like I can drink a little bit because I'm trying to figure out the jokes anyway, and I'll just listen. But when I'm honing, I don't really drink.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think you really got to be precise there. But when you're figuring it out, you can have a little fun and
just because you're a little looser, you're letting yourself off.
See how far I can take this.
Right.
But I mean, you just can't drink, and that's the problem with our podcast with me and Norman is like we backlog, we day drink for it, and it's like I don't like day drinking. I've never been a day drinker. I'm a night because it's like we work at night.
Yeah,
so we have to for the pod. Sometimes we have to backlog episodes.
When I did it, and what's the name of it again?
We Might Be Drunk.
We Might Be Drunk, and we drank. But I wasn't the first one you did that day. I think it was like the third you did that day.
Yeah.
And you guys kept it together. But I could tell you guys have been drinking.
We pay, so we know how to pay. We know our limits.
You're
We're
professionals.
adults.
You're professionals.
But you don't want to. That's the thing is like you want the quality to stay good. It's funny. Some people get mad. They're like, "You weren't even that drunk in this episode." And I'm like, "Sorry, we weren't slurring on the pod." So you want to. You want to put on a good show, but also it's called We Might Be Drunk. We don't have to be drunk.
That's right. And not all your guests are going to be drinkers.
No, we have sober people. We just, we've had a bunch of sober people on, and we like that. And we like that they're sober listeners. Like, we don't want to exclude anybody. If you had a problem and you had to quit, good.
Right. Yeah.
We don't, it's almost better. I'm almost jealous of those people. I almost wish I had a problem sometimes just so I can get my life together. If I was the type of guy who just said the N-word at like an office party, I'd be like, I'd be sober by now,
Right, exactly. I know. Every once in a while, like when I've been going too hard, I'll contemplate telling people I'm on antibiotics. I'd love to, but I can't. The medicine.
They're like, all right.
All right, we'll let you off the hook for this one, right?
Okay, dude, I'm on all kinds of other drugs. And they're like, all right, as long as you party, dude. It's like, we're adults. Why do we have to?
Yeah.
I do still feel the peer pressure sometimes of and I do.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to pace myself on the road because the comedy does come first. That's the thing is you don't want to fuck up your act. You want the shows, especially now that people are coming out. I want them to be like, I want to come back. You hear those stories about people maybe selling out their first time out and then people don't come back. I want it to be a great show for them. I want it to be a great night. 100%. I know they hired babysitters and shit. I don't want them to.
You don't want to spend your whole day dusting off a hangover and going to the show.
It kills a day.
It kills it. You should be thinking about your act.
And also, we love what we do. So it's like you do those shows at night. You don't want to dread those.
Right, exactly.
We've had those where you're just like, fuck. You get off and you're like, fuck. That was terrible.
Yeah. Well, this is very exciting.
You're going to like it a lot. It's really good.
This is very cool. Oh, man.
And you'll drink an old fashioned or a Manhattan or something, right? You're
for sure.
It's good for that. It's good straight.
Sip it straight or on the rocks or hey, take it however you want it. You've earned it.
That's our Don Draper voice. You're having a tough day at the office. Your wife's nagging. Your kids are screaming. Have a bodega cat. You earned it.
You've earned it.
You did earn it. Maybe you didn't, though. Maybe you just started at 9 a.m. That's cool, too.
Right, exactly.
If you didn't earn it, you could still get this.
Congratulations on the new special. This is very exciting.
Thanks.
Because you have been on this podcast many times. I
think only one time.
No, but many times with other guests when we talk about a great comic who took matters into his own hands, put his own special up on YouTube,
Thanks, man.
and got a big following off of it. You were like, people have been posting stuff for a long time, but you were the first time to dial in, I'm going to put up a professional.
There were others
special.
Before me. I definitely wasn't the first.
You maybe because you were better than them, but it stuck, and it really became like people bring you up all the time.
I mean, that's flattering. Yeah, it's I think it's that thing where you just are like, I don't want to do these jokes anymore. I'd like them to exist somewhere. Maybe I'll get hit by a bus tomorrow or something. Yeah. So like I want them to live somewhere. Yeah. And and you do your little tap dance for the people who either say yes or no, and they said no. And I remember at the time being so upset, but then in retrospect, it's the best thing that could have happened. Where, there weren't a lot of YouTube specials at the time, so that one did really well. It came out like right as COVID came out, so we both debuted the same month. And
same publicist, right?
Same. COVID got more press, right. But you never
know what's gonna stick. But that was really cool. But it really helped you kind of establish, and now to have one coming out on Netflix, it's nice to have a behemoth behind you.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the irony is I might probably do better on YouTube at this point. I mean, YouTube is like for everybody. Maybe not though, because YouTube is now oversaturated. I don't know.
I don't know.
But YouTube is a great place, like, to get young people who just like anyone can watch it. Yeah. That's kind of the beauty of it. And and you have that link. Like I remember in the '90s, not me, but like you watch specials and it's like, well, it's just on,
right.
And then at a certain point, like. I'd have a Comedy Central special, watch at 11 p.m. and everyone's like, what? You're wasting all these tweets that are like, watch my friend's special. And everyone's like, I'm good. Because that's not how we consume shit. We consume stuff where friends are like, you haven't seen, it takes like 8 times to be like, have you seen Nathan Fielder's new show? Right. And you're like, no. And then like an 8th guy says it and you're like, you haven't seen it? And you're like, fuck, okay, I'll watch it. Right. You need to be reminded. Yeah. And then you go watch it.
Yeah.
Or you have a link and your friends post about it and they're like, all right, here's the link.
Right.
That's not how we consume stuff anymore. So it was tough flushing hours of material down the toilet, essentially.
Yeah.
And then the YouTube thing, it's like anyone can watch it. So you're sacrificing money, but long run you're getting more money because people are going to come see you on the road and
right.
You get visibility.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, what's the name of this new
It's
special?
called Same Time Tomorrow.
Same Time Tomorrow.
It's a joke about it's a porn joke that has a callback, and it's also like what we do. It's the same time tomorrow. It's like I did 7 shows in Chicago. I was like, all right, same time tomorrow. Like we would just get drunk after every show. I'm like, same time tomorrow.
Right.
It was, it was great.
Yeah,
it was great. It was like a party every night, and then I was with Gary Veeder. We were in a hotel that had like a sauna, and I was like, sweat out the booze. Every morning we'd sweat it out. We'd swim some laps. And
the best alcoholics I know, who are alcoholics just where it hasn't become troublesome. Where to say alcoholic is too heavy of a thing. Yeah. The best drinkers I know.
Sure.
Have a steam regimen the next day.
It's hard to get access.
I know it is hard. The really good ones I know actually put it in their apartments.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
And man, that really gets it all out and you're fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, I heard a story. I don't know if it's true that Miguel Cabrera, the baseball player, had it in his contract that his room had to have a steamer. And I'm like, what kind of fucking room is he staying in? Yeah. I'm sure that didn't work in every city, but like apparently that guy baseball players drink.
I know.
They really, I guess they can.
I know.
You think it would fuck him up.
I was in in Texas when the Yankees were playing the Rangers, I guess.
Oh, isn't that the best when you're a Yankees fan?
Yeah, but I wasn't there. I didn't even know they were, I knew they were around, and I was in a fancy hotel and they were there after the game, after the shows were over, and I came walking through. I didn't get close to any of them, but they were partying hard in the lobby bar of this hotel. And I was like, oh man, these guys are kind of like rock stars. They're young, they're strong, doing whatever the hell they want.
It's
unlimited
awesome.
Money.
Yeah. But that's why dudes fizzle out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why a lot of those guys because that works. I think some of those guys, it works in your 20s, and then they're like, well, I'm not changing anything. And then they hit 32.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't recover the same.
No.
You gotta work out.
I did the All-Star game once, the Celebrity All-Star softball game.
That sounds amazing.
It was so great. And
are you good at baseball?
No. I'm not. But I can do it. I was an athlete, so I'm not inept, but I don't play. And I had a good catch in the field, which was really fun. Yeah,
what position?
In Arizona, I was playing left field.
Nice.
And and who's the legendary Boston guy? Fred Lynn
Oh, okay.
next to me, Fred Lynn. He was in center field, like legend.
Yeah.
And I'm there like, and who's the football player from Arizona with the dreads?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald
Yeah.
comes up, and he smacks one right in my direction, and I had to kind of like charge it a little bit. And I come charging in, and I caught it.
Damn.
Totally freaking out the whole time, and I was so happy. But it's in Arizona, where he's a legend. And everyone starts booing. I was like,
What?
I just made the greatest catch of my life. And everyone's like, boo. And he's like, throws his arms up. But then Fred was like, nice job, nice job.
Oh, that's
I was
cool.
like, yes.
I heard Fitz is the man. I heard he's like, everyone says he's like the coolest guy.
Yeah, he seemed cool.
He's such a great player.
So cool. But why did I bring it up?
Drinking, partying.
Oh, yeah. So when we're sitting in the part of like the experiences, you get to hang in the locker room in your little outfit, and they bring in some of the veterans, and they tell stories like just around the table, like in the cafeteria. And I don't even know the names of who I'm talking about, but it was old time pitchers, and they were talking about like, they were talking about steroids and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, everyone was always doing something. Everyone was always doing something. They said, remember when you were pitching, when it was your time to pitch? And the guy was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm spacing on the name, but he was like, they would put uppers in the coffee when it was their day to pitch, because they wanted the batters to be like super jacked and seeing the ball really big and fluffy, so that they would be on fire. He would try and tweak the rest
They were
of
talking
the
steroids.
teammates.
They're probably on like beta blockers and shit. I mean,
Yeah.
they're probably doing something.
Yeah,
right?
methamphetamines and all this kind of stuff.
Or-
and they were just like putting it in the coffee.
Damn.
Yeah, any kind of advantage. Any
That
kind
makes
of
sense.
edge.
You're so tuned in.
Yeah, and he said it. He said, I want my batters to be seeing giant watermelon-sized baseballs coming across the plate.
I was working on a new joke about how I would pop an Adderall before like listening to women. Like I'll just really listen well, and they're like, wow, and I'm like, yeah, it's performance enhanced. But they're like so like, oh my god, he's such a good listener. Yeah.
He's cheating, but it's worth it.
That's not when they care about you cheating though. Baseball was the shit, man. I mean, I don't watch it like I used to. I got to get back into it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just grew up with. I was just too spoiled, a Yankees fan in the '90s.
Yeah,
just,
oh my God.
just rotten. When you said left field, all I thought about was Chad Curtis charging the ball and like diving his face into the. Every time he threw it, he would just fall face first. All those guys.
Sheffield.
Sheffield was a
Oh,
beast.
I was just thinking about him the other day.
Waving the bat.
Yeah, that menacing. Hicks had like this little glimmer of it the other night.
Yeah.
And it was just
I love
remembering
him, too.
Sheffield, just
Yeah.
like with that bat, like, oh, I'm just going to smack the shit out of this ball and
Yeah.
your career.
He was so cool, Sheffield. I loved, Posada, Jeter, Mariano,
Brocious.
Pettit. Like,
God,
was
what a
it
great era.
Paul O'Neill was the shit.
Oh, the greatest.
Paul O'Neill's one of my faves. That guy was a fucking warrior. I loved him.
Warrior.
The warrior. Bernie Williams.
Oh, my God. Bernie
Tino.
Williams was... Okay, so I'm sorry to keep making this about
No, I love
me,
it.
but during that same All-Star game,
Yeah.
Bernie Williams is the manager of our little team. And
Wow.
And my locker was right next to Bernie Williams. Like, my outfit with all my name and my stuff. And
Are you you're a Yankees fan. You must be bugging out.
I'm freaking out. Like, totally
Postseason home run leader, I think, still?
unenjoyable because
Yeah.
you're just, like, too freaked out. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, trying to be cool, and he's so laid back, and you don't know, like, how much I'm supposed to talk or not talk.
Legend.
So when it was my turn to bat, the greatest female softball pitcher in the world, Jenny something.
Isn't that sad that you're the best in the world? And we're like, I don't know.
I'm like, yeah.
I don't know her last name.
That's on me. But I get up there and
Yeah.
swing at first pitch. And it's so stupid. Like, just as a celebrity thing, milk it. Take a couple,
If you're nervous.
Stay up there. I'm totally nervous.
Yeah.
So she fires one in. I pop it up. The catcher catches it. And it's over. It's just like in a flash. And like I'm walking over to the bench, and Bernie Williams, with no sarcasm or irony, just shakes his head like, "You fucked up."
Wow.
Yeah,
Bernie.
I know. I'm like, did you see my catch?
Yeah. Damn.
Oh, it was rough.
I love that you popped out and you robbed their like beloved hometown hero of an extra base hit.
I'm a disaster.
All they wanted to see was Fitzgerald, but you got to make that cash. You did the right thing.
I had to.
That's like childhood. Like that's like dream crushing shit.
Yeah.
I remember I met Latrell Sprewell in a bar in Milwaukee, and he was like my favorite player as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, Knicks legend. And
Yeah, he was so
I
dominant.
met him in a bar, and I was like, I was playing like some shithole club in Milwaukee, and I was. By the way, I'm in a Knicks sweatshirt. Like I'm a big Knicks fan.
Yeah.
And I'm in the bar with you know, the host from the show. She's like, you know, just so you know, Sprewell hangs at this bar all the time. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Spree fucking walks in.
Whoa.
And he's in like sweatpants and all that stuff. And they're like, you know, get him a drink. He drinks Honey Jack. I'm like, of course he does. Honey Jack is such a hilarious thing to just drink straight. And I'm like, I'll get him a drink. I'm a fan. So like, of course, like an idiot, I walk over to him. I'm like, Latrell, I'm a huge fan, man. He's like, okay. And I'm like, can I get you a drink? He goes, already got one. And I'm like fishing my head for shit I can say, and I said, I'm playing the comedy club. Like I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I panicked, and I said, if you want to come, and he goes, yeah, don't count on it. I was like, oh my god, don't count on it. I'm getting destroyed by Spear. I was like, all right, nice to meet you. And then some other guy was there with us, and he was like, I work for Bleacher Report. I'll handle this. And then and I'm like, oh, like this guy's probably gonna get in with Spreewell. The guy walks over, and all I see is Spree being like. Like get out of my face, and I'm like, all right, I got off easy. Whatever just happened. And
what do you mean? What'd the guy do? Like
I don't know.
He went
just
over to
annoyed-
provoke him.
He just probably was like, hey, I work for Bleacher, and Spree's like, I don't give a shit. Get out. Like it was just like him trying
He's
to
just
get
batting flies.
Yeah, he was like, get away. But he was just more aggressive. I think I came.
Yeah.
You know, I was more terrified visibly, and so he was maybe gentler, but whatever. And then I'm doing the show the last night, and I guess he drinks her like every night.
Yeah.
And or a lot.
Yeah.
And the bartender from the show, from the bar, was at my show, and she's like, "Oh, it was a really good show. I'm texting Spree about you right now." And I'm like, "What?" And she just showed me her phone. She's like a hot bartender. That's probably why he's nice to her. But it just said like, "Oh, I'm with a comedian who said he met you the other night." And Spree goes, "Oh yeah, I remember him. Great guy." I was like, "Great guy." I was like, what the hell?
Don't use me to get laid.
Yeah, like I'm just a part of your game plan to bang this bartender. And then
That's right.
And she's like, no, he liked you. I'm like, no, he didn't. He just. But then years later, I had a sports show on MSG, the Knicks network, and Spree was a guest, and
oh, nice.
he was nice enough. He was the only dude that wouldn't. I do like cold open sketches with the athletes, with like he's Sabathian, the Yankees, who was like the coolest guy,
the coolest,
and a guy I loved.
Yeah.
But Sabathia, I remember. Like I was like, hey, just do this gag. It was just simple, cold open.
Yeah.
Like he walks in, like, hey man, I'm so excited to be on the show, and I'd be like, oh dude, are you really? And he's like, no, I don't care. Like,
Right.
He's like, this show stinks. Like that was basically the open. It'd be 10 seconds of that. And I want to do a thing with Spree where he's just texting. I keep talking to him. I'm like, you and me, man, New York's finest. Like, and I just keep, and he's like, and he just keeps doing that. And I had this whole script kind of planned out, and he's like, no. I was like, okay.
You won't do it.
But then they were saying like he's already worried he's perceived as a dick, so he doesn't want to do a thing where he's a dick. And I was like, all right. And then he did the thing, and I was off because I was intimidated. But
you mean he did the thing?
He did the interview. He didn't do that.
Right,
he didn't do that.
Right.
But he was nice enough in the interview for sure.
Oh,
And
that's
I mean,
good.
You can't hold on to like the hurt. He was a New York legend.
And there's like, the amount of people that are coming in front of this guy all the time, especially him. He was pretty controversial, and
he was. Don't count on it. That will stay with me.
Yeah,
come to my show. Don't count on it. I mean, that's incredibly blunt. I mean, you almost appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
Most people were like, yeah, I'll think about it. He's like, I'm not coming.
Some of those just sting you. My wife and I got drunk in a outdoor place up in California somewhere, and there was like a band was playing, and we were pretty hammered, and a guy behind me was like singing along to the band, and this guy was like late middle-aged money, like it was up in like Santa Barbara or something.
And I know the guy you're talking about. A little too tanned.
Right.
His shirt's unbuttoned, one button too many.
His wife's about
nice
20
gray
years
hair.
too young.
Yeah.
Exactly that guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I turned and said something drunk to him like, yeah, how do you know the words to all these songs? And he just goes, have a good night.
Wow. Have a good night. That's excellent.
It sticks with me 15 years later.
Damn.
I'm like, oh, that one hurt. It was so perfect. He wasn't causing shit. He like stunned me like a mosquito in a zapper. Like, okay.
Have a good night.
Didn't realize.
Bye-bye.
You're right.
It's literally bye-bye.
You douche. Leave us alone.
Yeah.
And get out of my face.
We've all done that with a drunk fan, though, like where you're like someone after the show is talking to you, like, and they just like the guy who like wants to shake your hand 40 times, and you're like, dude, I've shaken your hand 12 times, and the guy's like, no, but seriously, like, good show, and you're like, thank you, and they're like, but it was like really good, and you're like, thanks, and then they're just like, well, you know, I'm like, all right, this is shake number 12. I'm keeping track. And then finally you pulled it like, well, it was great to meet you. That's like the polite way.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, have a good night.
Have a good night.
That's rude as fuck.
Oh, what? And he toasted me. Have a good night. And just like raised his glass.
Just banged his young wife.
I told my wife. My wife was just like, ouch. Oh.
That's so fucking good.
It was such a good one. Oh.
Respect, though.
It's hard playing in front of people in areas like that have that they have no worries in their life.
Not just no worries, but like they don't
struggle.
They don't respect like the process. You know, like you go to like a place with a big artistic community, you know, a theater community. You go to those bigger cities sometimes, and they understand that if you're going to do a new hour every year and a half, you got to work some new shit out. And some of them are just like, what are you doing? Like, you're trying a new joke? And I'm like, yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
I'm on the road all year. It's not like I just tour when it's ready. I feel like that's how it gets fucking good, you know?
Right.
So you either go to those cities that are like small enough that they're grateful you're there and they're like, do whatever the fuck you want, you know, we're Springfield, Missouri.
Yeah.
Or you get like, you know, sometimes you'll be in like Naples, Florida, which is like my least favorite, where they're just like, dance. Just fucking dance, monkey. And you're like, all right.
But there is something too when the weather's so nice.
Right.
And they're in a certain tax bracket.
Sure.
They figured it all out. Everything's and then you're up there with your little struggles of your life, expressing them in your act, and they're like, yeah, it's cute. You know
they
what I mean?
they don't connect
have
to
that
anything
thing.
you're saying. Not only that, they like those are the hell gigs, and those are the ones where you're like, these people wouldn't be impressed by like Hamilton.
No.
And then I'm going up there with like observational humor. Like they would see Hamilton and be like, it's all right.
It's
like,
okay.
They would.
My house is better. That's what they're all saying the whole time. I'd rather be home in my beautiful house.
Hamilton doesn't have like a massage chair in it. You don't get to like sit in a massage. It's heated. My chair. I have a hot tub. I have it.
And if the weather's too nice.
Yeah.
San Diego comedy is harder than Minneapolis comedy.
I've weirdly had good crowds in San Diego for whatever reason. Like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like I actually really maybe it's just whatever.
Because you bring enough darkness to it. You balance off their weather.
Well, San Jose, I don't know why. Like I wasn't really connecting with them as much, but San Diego, SF, like those are all like, you know, LA is usually good. Yeah. You know, the Midwest. I love the Midwest. I mean, something about Minneapolis or like, I love touring the Midwest. Like, especially in the winter. There's something so like, you're like, fuck, I love like, I love going to like Columbus, Ohio. I love.
Totally. I had a run where, I think I might have told you this, where I wanted to call it. It was, I should have named it, but I didn't get the name until I had done like my fourth one, like in Red Wing, Minnesota, or like these smaller places, nice little theaters, like 400 or 500 seats, like, but in the middle of nowhere. And someone came up and said, what are you doing here? And I had heard that so much on the tour that it should have been the name of the tour. What are you doing here tour? But
great.
Playing those markets, oh my God, great.
Yeah, because not everyone goes to those markets, so they're like, oh, cool. You know? Yeah. It's and I remember talking to like Nate Bargatze about this a bunch, where he's like, you got to keep going to those smaller cities because they'll remember and they'll appreciate it. And I'm like, well, I just want to tour anyway, so I'm happy to be working. You know, I like going to these cities. Like, I do have Springfield, Missouri coming up. I've been there a couple of times. I have fun there. It's small. It's fun. You get different types of crowds. You're talking to different type of people. I like that you can go to San Diego one weekend and some middle of the nowhere in the Midwest city, you know. Yeah. You know, I'm in like, you know, Dayton, Ohio the next. I'm like, I like that. I like that I'm talking to different people. That's fucking awesome.
Do you think that there is that new comics are almost too specialized? Like, you were still of the ilk of like, you just were thrown into gig after gig where you just had to kill no matter where you were, and you just had to kind of like adapt and do it. Yeah. And then there seems to be a a certain strain that are great in front of this certain kind of an audience. But if you were to take them and throw them in a corporate gig for General Motors and then the next day play like Naples, Florida, they would struggle.
Well, you're like a guy who we could put you at shortstop, we could put you in center field. You know what I mean? Like you're doing those. You could do a Brooklyn room, you could do a corporate gig. Like there's And I know what you mean. Where like you don't really have to adapt because the act is just kind of can work. And a lot of people are so much like leaning like, well, I'm part of this political party. I'm part of this political party, and I was never. Part of it was like, well, I want to be an entertainer. I want people to laugh. You know? So it was very much about the jokes, and if you're just kind of doing jokes, you kind of train yourself to write that way, and it kind of you do the road. It's hard for young comics to come up doing the road now because they just haven't raised the money. Flights are insane.
I know.
Hotels are it's like hotels got worse, airlines got worse, and the prices have just keep going up. Yeah. So if you're a young comic now, I don't know how you do it unless you're opening for someone who's helps
generous.
You out. Yeah.
So, the only way I get people to open for me is to pay for them.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
You got to pay on top of the horrible pay
that the club
is giving.
And you're like, if I bring someone open, they're like a headliner level comedian. I bring like Gary Vee or Dina Hashem or someone like really killer to open because I want the whole show to be awesome. But so I think that has made clubs have made it hard to develop 100%. Comics, and then it's also hard for these young comics to break into the headliner position because there's so many guys who already have those spots. You know? So you kind of almost have to unseat someone at the table. Right. You have to kind of take your spots like Game of Thrones or something. You
have to go open for someone in one of those far off places and then put something in their food.
You have to.
I don't know what happened to Sam. He seemed great at the show.
Every feature's just like Putin now. It's like, no, I don't. I don't know how you break in now. I really don't. Like, I came up at a very fortunate time where I think like I was getting booked off like credits rather than the fact that I could fill seats. And I don't know if that really exists anymore.
Hard. Yeah, because so many people will sell.
Yeah, and also they're competing with like TikTok celebrities, and people. A lot of these TikTok or YouTube celebrities, some of them are maybe comics, but then some of them are also, they do a whole nother thing. So their crowd comes out once, right? And then they don't come back.
I know. I was just in Brea at the Improv. Yeah, and which I'd never played before for some reason.
This guy with a talking raccoon hand was here last weekend ago, and he's great on TikTok, but for some reason it didn't translate.
Legit, that's what they were saying. There was like this two guys who are YouTube stars. They were like started as like a fitness thing, but then they turned right wing. Sure. And
Diamond and Silk.
They sold out the place on a Sunday, and the whole night was just F Biden and all of that stuff, all of like the worst part of humanity. Pack the place. Yeah. But how often are they going to do that?
That's the thing. It's like you got to look at like I was fortunate to open for people who have had longevity in this career starting out. Like I remember starting out. It opened for like Gary Goldman, Dave Attell, Amy Schumer, like people who like I think understood what it took to have lasting power in this biz. Yeah, and you learn from that. You're like, okay, I'm an entertainer. This is what it takes. Right. And it's tough to keep writing a new act. It's tough.
Do you think that, because like even when you mentioned Amy, like, she took some swings politically.
Sure. Which no one wanted to hear from a woman about like guns and stuff. Like, I mean,
exactly.
I think that was a tough thing.
It was tough. Do you feel like I get asked it a lot?
But I respect her for just being like, this is who I am.
Yeah,
I don't
just
really
doing
care.
her thing, right? Exactly. Like Wanda's a similar way, like just doesn't give a shit. She's just gonna say what she says.
But I think in some way that is like, it's funny I say, because she does. If you see her stand up, it's not that. It's just
no. That's the thing.
But I think she was kind of like, this is who I want to perform to, and you're like, that's you're losing money doing that, because there's probably places that you're not going to sell as well. So I do respect when people are like, this is who I am. But for me, I just kind of I'll post something every once in a while. Yeah. But I'm not. It's just not who I am, really. Yeah,
right. You're not that in your everyday life. So why would you put it in that?
I think people most people who listen to me know who I am already, so I don't really feel the need to voice it all the time.
Yeah.
I think if like you listen to my podcast, you're like, I know who he is and where he stands.
Jimmy
on
Carr
stuff.
had a great explanation of that. And I don't know if it was his line or he was relaying it to me, but he said that comedians leak. We leak who we are.
Yeah.
Like you get the essence. Leno said the similar thing to me. He goes, by the time you get to the microphone, they know everything about you. You don't have to really lean into it.
I would just rather, like, for my act, I would rather say it in joke form. I'm like, I can say this in a joke.
Right.
And you'll hear it in a funny way. And guess what? If it's not funny enough, it's out of my act. So I don't really want to post that stuff. And but you know, I have gun stuff that I'm sure, and I also like I like doing it in areas where they're really into guns, and I'll make them laugh, and that's kind of the plan. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to change your mind, but I don't think any comic is really going to change someone's mind. I think it's very tough, and I just don't think I'm that guy. You know, I'm kind of
no, and that's kind of the weird thing that's going on. It feels like you're not going to be change people's mind,
Sure.
but what people seem to be doing is just keep throwing red meat to this audience because they'll come out.
Well, that's
you know
definitely
what I mean?
a right-wing comic you're talking about.
Yeah, really. It's like it's that thing of
throw a vegan tempeh to this crowd, and
yeah, but that kind of thing, like it's.
I see people on Twitter, and they just are every tweet is like political or like calling people sheep, and I'm just like, hey, if you're a comic, can 12% of these be an attempt at a joke? Can can we try to be kind of funny still? I don't like calling comics brave. I don't like the free speech warrior shit. I'm like, hey man, we're not really getting censored. Like look, when it comes to shit like, you know, tech and them, you know, burying shit, that worries me as a comedian.
Right.
But when it comes to like, I don't think really comics are getting canceled for what they say. I think it's overblown. I think a lot of people are like, oh, they're going to cancel me. I'm like, you're baiting your people to get angry, to get more engagement.
Right.
That's usually how it works. I mean, it seems like the people that are the most worried about getting canceled are doing the best.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, they're leaning into it.
They're leaning into it. And people do get mad because they're behind you. But, you know, when people are coming after you, sure. But I do think a lot of it doesn't really stick. I think giving them attention almost, you know, empowers these people. So I kind of just, when people are coming after me, I usually just laugh it off. Like I got some angry tweets in San Jose, and I'm like, I mean, oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
you
just don't want to face that you live in San Jose. I'm with you. It's terrible. But you know,
yeah. It's
easier to be mad at me than look at your fucking life.
It's a weird thing that to feel like a comedy club, which is our kind of sacred ground, is like has people coming in and posting up shows of just propaganda.
Yeah, I just
weird
also
shit.
like.
I mean, I guess it was what used to be like a soap opera star or like somebody who like, you know, came from a reality show, and now it's like the P.T. Barnum Barker part of that is now political. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it can be, and it doesn't have to be. That's the thing about comedy. It can really be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And for me, I think there are comics who do it politically very well. I'm just not really. I'll do social commentary stuff in my act, but I don't want to be political. It's not how I am in every day. So it's like I don't really want to be that.
Right.
And I just see people get carried away where it's like, where they're like, the tyranny will not stand. And you're like, Rob Schneider, Jesus Christ. Like, we're going hard. Like, I just know you from the Deuce Bigelow's movies growing up. And then I follow him. Like, a lot of people I follow, it's just so, every post is so political. And I'm just like, all right, you know, if that's how you want to live your life, not how I want to live mine.
Yeah, me neither. And there's enough of that noise. Right, it's never ending.
I didn't get into this to be a fucking pundit.
Right.
I didn't get into this. I wasn't like someday I'll be Don Lemon.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I want to tell jokes.
Right, exactly. You know? Yeah, I want to kill as hard as I can and have people just crying and forgetting about all that shit for a minute.
That's kind of what it is. It's like I always respected Conan for keeping that monologue escapist when everyone else was like, and another thing from the Orange Bad Man. I'm like, do you hear everyone doing the same fucking jokes? Like, I kind of love that Conan would keep it really silly and light. And that's kind of like, that's what I am. I think you got to know who you are. And not everyone's going to be that. Like, I think there was a period where everyone is trying to be like a political comedian now. And I'm like, that's not really my strength.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. Just to like pick sides and like, no, I mean that's the thing. It's not your strength. Like I have opinions about everything. I read the
Sure.
news all the time.
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
a
it's
very
on
clear
the background
worldview
all day. Yeah,
But
I mean, I'm deeply
know
unhappy.
I
still.
know that's
Yeah.
right. I'm as miserable as everybody else, but I know that I'm not as talented politically as some of the people who are really great at that.
Well, Jon Stewart really like hurt a lot of comics in that way because he was so good at the Daily Show.
Yeah.
And I think then they just kept trying to
Yeah.
recreate that show, and I'm like, that's like saying like go be Derek Jeter.
Right.
It's like that's not how it works.
No.
You know, like not everyone can do that shit.
Yeah.
So you know, Comedy Central tries to recreate that show 47 times.
I know.
Then every other network's like, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So I just think, you know, and then it's a way to get a base quickly. There's a lot of comics I see just posting shit like, if I keep writing obvious, there was a point on Twitter where people would all write like funny kind of observational quips, and then
Yeah.
it slowly became like, Trump is a Nazi, and you get like 500 retweets, and I'm like, oh, this guy's lane.
Right,
Just
exactly.
like, so,
Yeah.
just right. Like I also like writing like an original take or an original joke, and it just seems like a lot of these people writing the exact same thing.
I know.
Twitter's so reactionary. Like the way we do stand up is like I liked it being a process of like, let me hone this joke, let me work on this joke.
Yeah.
Twitter's the exact opposite.
Right.
It's you take it out, you get mad,
Blah 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 blah, and it's got to hit, and either way, if it hits or it doesn't hit, it's gone in a second.
Also, with like the amount of podcasts we all do now, is
Yeah.
like, are we not getting enough of this like riffing? Like, can we like that stand up? Like, I got into this to be a stand up, and then all of a sudden we're like all radio guys. Like, I didn't get into this shit to be Don Imus either. Like, what the hell's happening to everything?
I know. But I mean, yeah, I think it's just a kind of like a greater thing of everything's now just being there's nothing universal. It's all
Yeah.
like segmented. Like it's all just about your little lanes, you know.
And some of that's good because that means there's a bigger middle class in comedy. That means that
Right.
there's a lot of people that couldn't make a living at this who now can, and that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is now, well, these are my people. And some people just have small crowds because their sense of humor is quirky.
Right.
But some people are like, I only perform for far left liberals. And you're like, well, there's a whole world of people out there. I also am like, hey, man, there's a good chance I'm wrong. You know?
Well, yeah, I know exactly. I know, like to take an opinion when you don't have any of the facts.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that kind of bravado. Like
Yeah.
I like, well, let's hear this one out. Let's see. In a month, is this going to be the same thing?
Yeah, I like, for the most part, like on Twitter, I really don't like people. Face to face, I really do like people. Like
Yeah.
when I'm hanging out with people, I'm like, man, I really like you get a sense of who they are. You get a sense that people are flawed. Twitter's like one snapshot. It's like a text. You interpret it in the worst possible way.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
one-on-one, you're just like, well, this is a person. And this
Yeah.
person is, you know,
Yeah.
they're three-dimensional. They feel real. And
Right. I think it's a real small minority that's in the culture that
Cubans.
That yeah.
The-
They're
David,
just
you know
so
David Tell's
angry.
joke where he's like, what's the joke? Where he goes, you know, there was a kid in my front row, and he goes, what kind of family? Cubans.
So where are you at now? You're out here in California. You're going to run around, do some podcasts, do some shows.
A lot of pods. Bread's amazing, by the way.
Isn't it good? Now,
Oh
how are
my
you going to
God.
treat this bread when you take it to your hotel? You just keep gnawing
Do I get
at it.
I get to take this?
Yeah, this is going with you. I mean, it's I worry about it because you'll be in a hotel. But
We're
if
like we're like founding fathers here, just whiskey and bread.
you, right, exactly.
what-
You're like Benjamin Franklin. If you could get something to put on the bread, I would definitely do it. I should
It's
have.
incredible.
Yeah, maybe some butter.
What about yeah? What am I doing? I'm doing shows, doing some
And now your special's coming out this week.
September 1st.
And so-
Netflix, same time tomorrow.
So what is your
And new podcast with Julian Edelman called Games with Names. So that's the
Wow.
pod.
So now you have two pods?
We might be drunk with Mark Norman and Games with Names with Julian Edelman, where we talk like it's sports history. So it's so
nice.
much fun. It's like
That's cool.
If you like sports, it'll be one of your favorite things because the guests are insane. like, you know, Bill Simmons' podcast, The
Yeah.
Rewatchables? It's like that, but a game.
Oh.
So we relive the greatest games ever. We're searching for the greatest game in history. It's like,
Oh, that's great.
we've already had, like, you know, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning,
Whoa.
Michael Irvin, Paul Pierce. Like,
Jeez.
we're getting every sport, you know. Michael Vick was on. I mean, we've had, like, so many big
That's amazing.
guests, and it's, you know, it's awesome.
Wow. Well, you're my biggest guest.
I know that's not true because I follow you on Instagram.
That's amazing. But how are you feeling act wise? Do you feel like you're in good spot? Like do you
Never.
get nervous that you have to go out and tour
Yeah,
when your
always.
special's out?
Yeah, I mean, we put off doing bigger venues because I really need a rebuild.
Yeah.
But you know, I feel, you know, I never feel great. But
Right.
I felt better before San Jose. I was like, man, I was just not doing great. I was like, this is kind of tough. This is weird. Great staff and club. But I was like, man, I feel like I'm not doing that great up here. And then I did the jokes here, and I was, you know, so I feel a little better. I was doing them in New York. I felt better. I'll keep dragging them through the mud on the road. That's how we get them good, right?
Yeah.
But
no, and it's great to watch. I mean, you're so good, and
you too, man. I love your
it's
stuff.
Anytime
I listen to your stuff a lot because you're clean. You do a lot of different types of material than I do, so it's like I'm not going to step on your shit.
Right.
But it's like I just like it a lot. So
Yeah.
you're a guy I can just listen to.
Same.
And it's like, oh, that's how you do a joke, right? That's a joke. You know, it's like you remember, you know.
Yeah. Anytime yours comes up, I watch and hang
Thanks,
with
man.
it. And you know, and it's not that way for all comedians.
We're in love, dude. The bread, the wine, the whiskey.
Yeah. Thanks for the whiskey. This is great. Bodega Cat. Can people just go buy this?
Yeah, BodegaCatSpirits.com, BodegaCatWhiskey.com. It's available for pre-order. I'm really pumped about it. It's like it's going to be your favorite whiskey.
This is so great.
It's really good whiskey.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this. I really
Thanks for
appreciate
having me,
it.
dude. I love it.
Good luck in your Uber. Maybe I'll see you at the store tomorrow. Maybe
Not tomorrow. I'm
No?
at the Bourbon Room.
The Bourbon Room.
Yeah. Not a gig. I'm just gonna get drunk. No, it's a venue in like in North Hollywood. It's pretty
Right.
cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
even know
pumped.
it. All right, nice. Well, congratulations.
You too, man.
Thanks for doing
I
this.
can't wait. Congrats on your special coming up.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see
I'll
that.
come back and do yours. And,
Come back on. We might be drunk.
Yeah, that'd be.
We'll give you good martinis this time. I don't know what happened there.
It was a bad martini, but that's okay.
He's a great bartender. I don't know what happened.
He just
there.
put an oily. He tried to make it dirty and use the blue cheese olive.
Can't do that.
It's like an oil slick.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Got it, Aaron. All right, kids, that's the big show. Thank you to Sam. Go and check out his special right now on Netflix. Also, go to YouTube and check out his last specials on there. Go to tompapa.com. Look up all of my tour dates. I am rolling all over the place, so I've got to be coming close to you for sure. And that's it. Enjoy. Summer's over. You're the best. See you soon.